So with our lovely Miss Bella, nice job. I'm just going to warm up a little bit with some lovely name recognition with some find its. And then I want to go into working a few other lovely puppy skills. Nice. Great job, cuteness. So she's been doing a really awesome job. She starts to offer again some lovely default sits because she's been finding out that those have a really nice value to them. So she's been offering them very readily. Nice. Remember too, if you're a little bit, like let's say your puppy's a bit fast and they come at you before you were ready to do that name recognition, don't worry. So if she's even just bouncing back and forth between the environment, doing that find it, and then coming back to you, every once in a while you can go, Bella. She's like, oh my gosh, but there's a crumb. Good job. She can then do that lovely little check-in. So some of my favorite things to also work on are, I know for a lot of the puppies, taking food at times, I mentioned with Mr. Z, sometimes if the arousal or excitement or anxiety goes up, the mouth turns into its own little alligator and there's not much brain function behind the mouthiness. So if in the beginning your puppy is still nibbling your fingertips, remember feed flat palm like livestock as if she was a goat or a cow, even though she's, no offense to them, they're also very cute, but she's kind of adorable. So if again, you're having moments where gentle or easy would be something you'd like to include, I like to put my food in my hand, close my fist and put my thumb inside. Then what I'm going to try to do for my gentle or easy cue is offer this part of my hand, go gentle or easy. If she nuzzles or licks, I'm going to go yes, and I would feed her for that gentle. So I again would go gentle, and then she's like, all right, and then she gives a lovely little moment where she's like, would you like a foot? If you're doing high five or paw, perfectly okay. But just remember that sometimes as puppies get excited, they try to offer any previous skills they may have learned. And when they're a little jazzed and not sure what you want, they might start slapping you. So make sure that if paw or a high five is something you're working on, only ask or reinforce it when you are looking to get it. Otherwise, your puppy might, out of excitement, start to offer a lot of slapping, and then we might give them some negative or even positive attention, and then your puppy might, when they get excited, start to implement paw, must be part of the process. So again, we'll do a little find it, and then Bella, come. So you can start to include the recall word too for that little bounce back from the environment with that lovely name recognition. Good job, cuteness. So with the gentle or easy, she's taking her food very nice, but you may find as she hits adolescence and leaves puppyhood that maybe she gets a little bit mouthier at times, and that's normal. So just always lower the criteria or simplify the setup so she can be successful. So again, we'll do one more little find it. Oh, she says, where the heck did that one go? Here, we'll do one more. It can be found a little easier. There we go. Some of them blend really nice with the floor. So for puppy push-ups, I know she's been working her lovely sitting. So again, food up and above, sit and feed for that response. If again, right now you're still luring with the food to create behavior, perfectly fine. But remember how we've mentioned you want to fade out the lure as she starts to get really good at something. So even if I don't get to say every cue as she's doing it, she's still being fed for the moment she was correct. So from her body's perspective, she's starting to figure out the puzzle pieces that every time my body does this, something cool happens when it comes in the form of food, praise, touch, exploration, or maybe even play. So for a stand position or an up, I would lure my puppy towards me a little bit, see if I can get her to stand. If she's like, my brain slightly melted, I might even offer the food, yes, right there. Almost attempt to offer it on the floor to get her to stand up. So now we might get our sit, feed for that response. We might go from a sitting into a stand. Yes. So in the beginning, I would recommend help with the puppy's ability to grasp these concepts by using the food and feeding for the moments you were looking for. So even if in the beginning we're luring her into a stand, she'll eventually figure out that maybe targeting the hand turns into that stand position. So if she's a little bit unsure, I might lure, I might try to even lower right here, stand, and then feed. So again, we're going to try to get our lovely's attention. So again, sit, and then right there, yes. So if you're about 80 to 90% certain she's going to offer a behavior, you can go ahead and pair it with the cue word. So like you're sitting or whatever behavior it might be. But if you find that you're saying something over and over and your puppy has no idea what the heck is going on, try to refrain from using your voice because you might either be losing the meaning behind it or confusing the pup. or maybe making it where 15 sits equal a sit. So make sure to keep it simple. So again, right now I might lower and I might say down, and then yes, and feed for that. If the downs are harder for her, I might even jackpot her. So remember a jackpot, I'm using some of her kibble too, is I'm just feeding several little snacks while my puppy is still in the position I'm trying to create value in. So from here, I might go again, stand, see if she can offer it right there. Yes, and feed her for that. Good girl. So we might go again, sit, and then yes to feed. So if you're finding she's getting much more refined, you can again empty the hand you've been using with the food. She says, hold on, Lena, I got to go check out the bowls. So when she's working this, in the beginning, food is probably in your hand to help create the response and the behavior from the puppy. Then you want to empty your hand, get the same visual sort of look to what you've been doing. And eventually you can either fade out the way you've been doing a certain hand signal. Remember, though, puppies are very visual learners. So I tend to do like a sit, like with a swooshing hand motion. Down for my guys is to point to the ground. Some people have done hand to the sky. Some people have done all different hand signals. The main goal is something that you and your puppy feel comfortable and understand doing. So right here, I might get Miss B. So Bella, she's like, hold on, lady, there's a really good smell. Ah, there's the crumb she missed earlier. So let's say I said her name and there's no response. She's maybe a little distracted. I might go a little bit closer and then see if I can get her attention back. So Bella, she's like, hold on, lady, you left out all these cold chews. Ready? So I know I'm a little bit out of camera shot right now, but I'm going to lure her away. What a smart girl. And feed her for this little check-in. So there'll be times where you might lose your puppy to the environment, super normal, but don't repeat yourself. So if, let's say, Miss B had no idea that I was even blabbing at her, oop, I find it. I don't know if you'll see it. I dropped it somewhere. There it is, find it. So let's say I constantly said her name and the C word, like to come when called, and she was busy, like, playing in dirt or whatever. If I keep saying it while she's not really getting the concept, she might lose out on the meaning behind the recall word. So make sure that when you're going to be asking for things, your puppy can either, one, understand the concept, but two, be able to be functional within that type of distractive or that type of environment. So right here we go down and then yes to feed. Nice. Then we might go ready, stand, and right here, yes to feed. Nice job, cuteness. So puppy push-ups are a really great one. I wouldn't do so many though that your puppy's like, holy cow, like core strength workout, I need to take a break. So make sure it's not so strenuous that your puppy wants to walk away and give up. I did end up leaving a few chew items out, and she says those seem much cooler right now than doing puppy push-ups, which is not the end of the world. But remember, when working any skill with your beauty, keeping the sessions attainable and easy is a great way for her to create value and want to do them again later. So make sure training sessions are not, again, like boot camp, where she can't wait to be away from us and done with the setup. So what I'd like to do is maybe we'll practice a little bit. She seems to like that bone. I want to see if we can work a little bit with getting her to practice with an item she's allowed to have, a little bit with that exchange game that I had mentioned last time, but with like a chew item. Because last time she wasn't quite as interested in my toys, which is no big deal. So I'm going to just go bring her item over here. Ready, cuteness? How are you doing, Ebba? Good? Oh, that's okay. Ebba has some slime with her today, and she said that she made a worm, but then it went flat. So, ready, Belle? Bella. Nice. So I've just got this sort of empty, sterilized, no, it's not sterilized. It's an old smoked bone. So like a dog product you can buy for your pup to chew or gnaw on. I typically like to just stuff them with things and either freeze them or lather in some, like, you could do cream cheese or sweet potato, whatever works well for your pups. And so now let's say here's this item, and she's like, hold on, lady, refill it. So here's this item that has a few items that she enjoys inside of it. So this could be a food dish with some kibble, like I mentioned last time. This could be one of her chews that she has from here that was brought in from home. So let's say my puppy's enjoying their item. I would want to practice the treat and retreat. So again, and she's like, lady, I'm over it. Nice job checking in. is, so let's say my puppy, maybe I'll try to throw in a few extra bonus bits. Let's say she's enjoying her item. I'm going to come over nonchalantly, and as I pass by, drop some snacks in and around her bubble and walk away. So the way this game starts is in the beginning, while your puppy is enjoying something, you're again almost like retopping that ice cream cone like I mentioned from last on Tuesday. So while she's enjoying her thing, it doesn't equal me coming near as threatening or the end of the game. So now she's back to kind of checking out her little bone, and then she's like, where's the crazy snack lady? Ready? So I'm going to reload it so it seems a little bit more exciting than it once was. Oh my goodness, where'd that one go? So now that it's kind of reloaded up, I'm going to plop it down for her. So notice how even when I re-stash the item with more goodies, me coming nearby didn't equal it went away. It equaled I refilled it and then I gave it back. So I would, again, nonchalantly walk past. She's enjoying her thing. Oh, there we go, cuteness. Toss some items at her, or not at her, but in her direction. I mean, obviously, I don't think she'll care if she gets snacks tossed at her. She says they're quite delicious. So now what I'm looking for her, are you building something? Oh, that's nice. So as she's enjoying her bone, notice how she doesn't mind coming over and disengaging. The next step would have technically been, while she's enjoying her bone, is get her to enjoy that. And anytime she comes to check in with me, great. But maybe she hasn't figured it out to that level yet. So we would go from here, and I'd go, ready? Do my little kissy noise and do a find it to get her to disengage from the item. I'm not going to go ahead and then swipe the thing instantly, because then if I do the little exchange, it always equals like, here's $1, but then I took away your 25 bucks that you just had. So sometimes we want to make sure that's nice, that throughout the practice, notice how she doesn't feel overwhelmed to leave the item to come check in with me. Good job. So she's starting to realize that, okay, leaving something of high value doesn't mean the game has to be over, doesn't mean that me coming nearby the human is threatening or overwhelming. And this is a great way to prevent resource guarding or gulping, because if your puppy can barely feel comfortable with something they're allowed to have, how are they going to feel comfortable letting go of something they shouldn't? So let's say she could have been mid-chew of her item, enjoying her snack. Then we'd be able to do a little find it, get the puppy to do a few little checkouts from the original item off to the sides. And then what you'd be looking to do is go, Bella, yes, and then be able to toss some goodies, and then eventually get her to think that maybe moving away from something that's got some really nice value is not so hard. So this way, if let's say we had to bring her out for a potty break, maybe we have company coming over, or maybe she has to go take her nap. That could be a moment where she would have been really interested in her item, really enjoying the chew option, but now we're getting all these lovely check-ins, which is splendid. But let's say she was enjoying that thing and I need to give her a breather. This is where having that little ready, find it, little disengagement, and then be able to go and nonchalantly pick up the item and then get it out of range can be very helpful. But if let's say every time I went, I'm just going to move it out of the bubble for just a second. But let's say every time I went and I did, here's your snack, and I swipe it from her face directly, that tends to be a lot more overwhelming than creating distance and having it be fun to disengage in the first place. So remember, you want to think about your practice as doing the skill set before you need it in the real world setting. So if we wait every time until she has a sock to try to take the item from her, or if every time she has a chew, we go and just take it away from her, she's going to start to think, you know what, every time someone comes near, they either equal the end of fun, they get frustrated or overwhelming from her perspective, or scary. So we don't want her to get better at those types of skills or those types of feelings, because then taking and dropping of items might be really hard for down the road. So, but she did a really nice job with this skill set. So we'll give her a little breather and we'll work a few other lovely skills for the lovely lady. But super job she's doing today. She's off to go get a drink of water, all those snacks.